Okay. Okay. Okay, so I welcome you all to this live session of this course, Thermal Engineering Basic and Applied. I request the learners who have joined this session to post your question in the chat box. In case you have joined this session, you also can interact with me. This session is limited to only 1 hour. So my suggestion would be to post your question in the chat box without any further delay so that we can take those questions for discussion. The course Thermal Engineering Basic and Applied is an important core course to the undergraduate students of mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, chemical engineering, and power engineering. Also, students of civil engineering and aerospace engineering do this course, Thermal Engineering Basic and Applied. So in this course, several aspects of thermal engineering system have been discussed together with, since this is, applied part is included, or this course essentially focuses on applied parts. So I have tried my best to discuss the basic modules as well, because basic understanding of thermodynamics is very much needed to understand the operational principle of several applied components. Considering this aspect, I have, discussed basic modules, including basic laws of thermodynamics, to both control mass system and control volume system. And then we have also discussed about combined application of first and second laws to several processes. And later on, we have discussed that if we need to specify, if we need to estimate, if we need to quantify several, important energy transfer, either from the system into the surroundings or from external source into the system, the combined first and second laws is very much helpful to know about it. So in addition to this first and second law, we have also discussed about the several other modules like steam power module. Then in steam power module, there are several components like steam generator, that is boilers, steam turbines, and most importantly, the flow nozzles. We have also discussed about the condensers, cooling tower in brief, which is also an important part of the steam power unit. Then we have discussed about internal combustion engines, their basic cycles, classification of internal combustion engines, and then we have also discussed about gas power cycles, and finally we have discussed about the refrigeration cycles. So in this course, several applied components of thermal engineering have been discussed, illustrating numerical problems so that you can really understand the conceptual part. Without solving numerical problems, it is not possible to understand the conceptual part of the units that we have discussed in this course. Also, I have discussed about, as I said before, the basic module. Without knowing the basic thermodynamics, it is not possible to understand the applied components, mechanism, operations, and several involved processes of the applied systems. So this course, Thermal Engineering Basic and Applied, is an important course. I should say it is an important core course of several engineering disciplines. And those who are really interested in joining several process industries, automobile industries, or steam power units, steam power plant, to them this course is indeed an important course. Sometimes even in these process plants, practicing engineers need to do routine operation, and many times they also need to do, or they need to involve with the design aspects of several components of the process plants. I believe in this course, contents are helpful to the learners from the perspectives of the operation as well as design of several applied thermal engineering systems. I request learners to post your question in the chat box, or if you have joined the session, you can start interacting with me. I'd be happy to give answer to those questions to the extent possible in this session. Also, you know very well by this time that in the MOOCs platform, there is a provision of practice session. So you are allowed to post your questions for week-wise module, and typically those questions are addressed each and every week. I request to the learners, students who have joined this course or who are attending this session, to raise your question so that we can consider them for discussion in this session. Thermal engineering is an important component of mechanical engineering. I should say in mechanical engineering there are several specializations. Thermal engineering or thermal fluid sciences is one of them. Not only this course is not only important to the students of mechanical engineering or automobile engineering or power engineering. This course in many institutes, many colleges is offered with the name of applied thermal engineering. So the content of this course are designed keeping that in mind and expecting students from other disciplines like electrical engineering, chemical engineering, aerospace engineering, civil engineering also can understand several components of applied thermal engineering subject. So considering the students and the syllabus of applied thermal engineering typically followed in several engineering colleges and institutes, and also I had seen that there are AICTE approved courses. So having a look into those courses, the module of this course are designed accordingly. In this course, starting from basic understanding, I should say the fundamental understanding of basic laws of thermodynamics, which is very important to understand the processes involved with several engineering systems, including steam power unit, internal combustion engine, gas power unit, refrigeration unit. I have tried my best to discuss the basic modules just to recapitulate your understanding you have learned from your basic thermodynamics course. Thereafter, we have moved to discuss several applied components, starting from the steam power unit as a whole. And when we have discussed about steam power unit, we have discussed several important components. I should say the major components, their operation, thermodynamic analysis of those components, and the aspects someone should consider while designing a particular component, and also the system as a whole. Then we have discussed about internal combustion engine, which is also an important component of applied thermal engineering or applied thermodynamics course. We have discussed about the engine nomenclature, their classification. Briefly, I have tried to discuss about the combustion as well. Types of fuels used in internal combustion engine are also discussed. Then we have discussed about gas turbine units. And finally, we have discussed about refrigeration cycles. In each and every module, I have tried to illustrate conceptual understanding or theoretical part through the solution of several numerical problems. I request you all who have joined this session to raise your question, which will enable me to interact with you in this session directly, or you also can post your question in the chat box to be discussed further. This session is limited to only a few minutes. I request to the learners who have already joined this session or who have, any questions, to raise those questions in the chat box or in the session so that we can discuss those questions now. Thermal engineering, basic and applied, as I said, is an important core course to the students of several engineering disciplines. Sometimes this course is offered in many institutes with a different name, that is applied thermodynamics, but the contents of this course are similar to the applied thermodynamics course. Not only the students of several engineering disciplines, but there are practicing engineers in several process plants. Considering their involvement with the process plants, I have tried to discuss several operational procedure, operational issues, and also the difficulties and remedial measures to sort out those difficulties in this course. As I said before, while I have discussed several modules of this course, I have tried my best to discuss the processes together with the features of several engineering components typically used in thermal systems. And we have also discussed about the aspects to be considered by a designer while any component used in thermal system is designed. So in this course, emphasis is given to discuss both the operational procedure of a system, which is expected to have a few engineering components, and then also the design aspects of each and individual component. Without solving a numerical problem, many times it remains incomplete for a thorough understanding of the conceptual part. So I have tried my best to solve our numerical problems. I have tried my best to solve several numerical problems associated with each module, just to illustrate the theoretical part so that learners can understand the fundamental or conceptual part to be considered, or the theoretical aspects to be considered while designing a system, while designing several components of a system. I request students who have joined this session to post your question in the chat box. I would welcome you all to raise your question in this session. Even you can interact with me directly in this session. You know very well that courses, those are running in MOOCs platform, there is a provision of practice session in each and every week. You are also allowed to post your question in the practice session, and those questions are routinely addressed. You might have some confusion, you might have some doubts. To address your confusions, doubts, in addition to those practice sessions, live sessions are there. So in this live session, You are requested to raise your questions in the chat box. You can post your question in the chat box. You also can discuss those questions directly with me in this session. As I said you, this course, Thermal Engineering Basic and Applied, is an important core course to the students of several engineering disciplines. And here the course name is Thermal Engineering Basic and Applied, but this course is offered to many engineering disciplines in several institutes or colleges with a different name, and the name is Applied Thermodynamics. Contents are same, and considering the involvement of students of different engineering disciplines, the course structure is designed in such a way that starting from basic understanding of thermodynamic laws, first law, second law, which are very important to understand, which are very important to mathematically describe the processes occur in several components of a system, and having a thorough discussion on these basic modules, we have discussed several applied thermodynamical systems, including steam power system, gas power system, internal combustion engine, refrigeration system. In fact, in steam power module, there are several important or major components. I have tried to discuss those components separately, and I have tried to solve numerical problems essentially to illustrate the theoretical understanding and conceptual part of those processes. I request the students who are here in this session to raise your question so that we can take them for further discussion. I hope there is no question. I can see that even after 22 minutes of this session, there is no question in this for this particular course. I would like to wait for another 3 minutes. If there is no question from the learners, enrolled students of this course, I would like to wrap up the session for today. I request learners, students who are here in this session to raise your question to enable me to interact with you, or you can post your question in the chat box. In addition to this live session, you know very well that there is a provision of practice session in each week, and you are allowed to post your question to be discussed for each and every module during the practice session. So I request students who are attending this session to raise your question in the chat box to be discussed in this session. You also can interact with me in case any one of you have joined this session, and I would be happy to interact with you, to address your queries, to answer your questions. Let me tell you once again, the course Thermal Engineering Basic and Applied is an important course to the undergraduate students of different engineering disciplines. The contents of this course are designed in such a way that recapitulation from the basic part of thermodynamics to understanding of several engineering systems can be discussed and students can learn. I have tried my best to discuss the basic laws of thermodynamics, which are very important to understand several processes, to quantify the efficiency of each and every unit or each and every component of a system, and the thermal efficiency of the system as a whole. Thereafter, we have discussed about several engineering modules, several applied engineering systems, their processes, and also we have discussed several aspects to be considered to design a system and to design a component of those systems. I hope there is no more question in this session, but I would like to request to the students to post your question even in your practice, during your practice session, and typically all those questions are addressed routinely. Since there is no question in this session for today, I would like to wrap up this session. Thank you.